All right, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Last night, it occurred to me to put together a manual that has all the information in one place. And to make it easier for you to be able to manage this, so you guys can get past the learning curve that much quicker. Now, I did this for both openers and closers. So if you have closing agents on your team, I will go ahead and send this to them as well. You can see on page 2, there's a table of contents, tells you where everything is. Our primary goals. We have the rules to succeed. Each and every one of you should be reading this every day. It's an affirmation as to what you're going to be doing. It's kind of like if you're playing a sporting event, you just don't start out by playing it. You spend some time warming up. This is your basic warm-up. It explains the timeline where you guys should be in the call. If you're not within these guidelines, you're doing something incredibly wrong. Either you're not following the script, you're not pronouncing your words correctly and are having to repeat them, your pacing is either too fast or too slow, which defeats the purpose, and you're having to repeat yourself, wasting valuable time. Or you're not controlling the conversation, as we've been talking about in every training session we've done. The color scheme of the script, it's explaining what the colors mean. Some of you still don't know this. You think that what's in yellow is actually part of the script. It's not. It's my instructions to you. What's in green are the tie downs. That is part of the script, and you must use them. Many of you just blow them off as if they don't exist. Dark green is telling you to speed up, blow by, say it as fast as you can, because we don't want the customers concentrating on that portion of the script. It needs to be said for legal reasons, but we don't want them fixating on it. Again, we're controlling the conversation. We're the ones who are dictating what they should and should not be focusing on. And one of the ways we do that is with our pacing. Another reason may be raising or lowering the volume of our voice, raising or lowering the volume of our pitch, or we're pausing for effect. We want those words to sink in. And then what's in purple are the built-in rebuttals. So the reason I put this script together like this is so you guys can learn it piece by piece and not be overwhelmed by it. So what I want you to do is, if you haven't done so already, learn this. Then when you learn that, learn this. Then go back to the first 2 paragraphs together. Then learn the 3rd paragraph. Go back and learn all 3. We have a built-in rebuttal. Learn it. You're going to use it. I promise you. then learn them step by step, by step, by step. There's only 16 sentences to this opening pitch. We have rules and rebuttals. Rebuttals. If you explain what it is you're doing, why it is you're doing it, 95% of the time, people will go along with you and answer the questions as you need them to. Remember, you have 4 seconds to make an impression. The customer is judging you to see if you're worth speaking with. They're judging you on, are you sharp as a tack? Do you sound like you know what you're talking about? Are you energetic and confident? Do you believe in what you're saying? And do you sound like a professional? If the answer is no to any one of those questions, they're going to hang up on you, or they're not going to take you seriously. Do not waste these initial 4 seconds with, can you hear me? Assume that they can. Take control of the conversation. Do not ask how they are doing. It's unnecessary. You're never going to see these people ever, ever, ever again. You don't care how they're doing, and they certainly don't care how you're doing. Yes, I know it's the polite thing to do, but this is telemarketing. You're wasting valuable time. If they ask a stupid ass question like, where are you calling from? How did you get my number? Why are you calling me? Whatever question they ask before they are qualified, ignore their questions. Control the conversation. Remain in control of the conversation. I guarantee you're probably answering the question in the next sentence. Now, if they ask you something after you pre-qualified them, you know that it's now worth their time, your time, to invest in them and answer their questions. If you answer their questions before they're pre-qualified, chances are you're going to find out that they're not pre-qualified, and all the time that you spent answering their question was wasted because either they're a renter, or they don't live in a single family residence, or their electric bill is too low, or a combination of any of the 3. So it's unnecessary. Ignore their question. If they don't meet with any one pre-qualification, just hang up. Don't explain why. Just hang up. It's unnecessary. You're never going to speak to them again. Now, if you pre-qualified them and they ask you a question relating to any part of the solar installation, the process, the cost, the price, the warranty, or anything specific, respond with this following answer. Hey, I understand your concern about X, and I'm glad you brought that up. Honestly, I don't want to give you any wrong information, which is exactly why we want you to meet with our specialist. He or she is going to provide you with the proposal, explain all the options available to you, as well as the pros and cons of each option, and answer any and all questions that you have, so you can make an intelligent choice as to whether solar is right for you or not for your family. Fair enough? Great. I have a specialist on the line that can start the process for you. Please stay on the line while I transfer you. Thanks so much, and have a nice day. Or you could use the short version of that. Hey, you know what? Great question. Glad you asked it. It's a great question for one of our specialists. I don't want to provide you with any wrong information. Tell you what, let me go ahead and transfer you to the specialist, and they'll be happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns that you have. Fair enough? Great. Hang on 1 second. That's all you have to do. Before I move forward, does anybody have any questions so far about anything I've said? Anybody? Pretty straightforward, right? So if that's the case, why are so many of you screwing this all up? You know, I'm not going through this because I don't have anything better to do. I'm doing this because I sincerely want to help you guys get past this learning. I want you guys all to succeed. Please take this time and be proactive and ask me anything that you want, anything that you're unsure of, anything that does not make sense. Please take the time. I'm here for your benefit. Nobody has any questions? We're all too shy. We all have stage fright. Not that you guys need to know this right now, but I want you to be aware of it. Here's the NATO phonetic alphabet. Someone says something, answers your question, you're not sure, have them spell it out, like their name, their address, their phone number, their email address. Again, we're training you guys to be closers in training, whether you know it or not. So again, you need to know that it exists. Phonetics, words that you may find hard to pronounce. Words are here on the left-hand side. Solar, it's pronounced solar, not solar. Opportunity, opportunity. Many of you guys are still having problems pronouncing these words. There's no excuse for it. All the information is there for you to help you. Take advantage of it. When you listen to your recordings, listen to how you're pronouncing these words. Take 5 words every day and learn all 5 of them. Second day, learn another 5 and then go back and repeat the 10. Then go on to another 5. And now you're learning 15 words, pronouncing them correctly. Again, you have 4 seconds to make that impression. You need to have a hard copy of the script in your hand. How many recordings have we listened to in the last few days that we determined that the agent does not have a hard copy of the script? And that's exactly how it sounds from the customer's perspective. You need to follow the script as it's written. Sometimes you guys have better ideas disease. You think you know better than what I do. I guarantee you, until you're able to outsell me, you don't. Until you can sound like I do on the phone. Probably should follow my direction. I might know something. Don't go off the reservation and create your own script. It's going to lead to utter failure. Be prepared with your rebuttals. Know what you're going to say ahead of time. All these calls are repetitive. They all pretty much sound the same. They go along the same lines. People are going to ask you only so many questions or have so many concerns. You need to deal with them. Now, with the opening script, there's really only two rebuttals that you have to pay attention to, and you're going to ignore their stupid ass questions until they're pre-qualified anyway. You guys have been doing this long enough to know what comes next. You need to have the mentality that if you flip a coin, heads, I win, tails, they lose. Either way, you're winning. If they're going to argue white, you argue black. If they argue black, you argue white. Do not be afraid to stand them up. People are going to test you to test whether or not you're worth speaking to. If you put them in your place, in their place, guess what? They're going to pay attention to that. If you don't, they're going to step all over you. They're testing to see if you know what you're talking about. The worst thing that they can do is say no. That's it. So what? You move on to the next call. You have nothing to lose. Do not be afraid of losing the deal. You have nothing to lose because it's not yours to lose. Until you have the sale made, you don't have a deal. It's just that simple. Do not browbeat them or bully them into an appointment. Make sure they see the merits of what it is you're talking about, what you're offering, and how it benefits them. They have nothing to lose but a bit of time. That's it. We're not charging them anything. It's not costing them anything. The only thing it's costing them is time to meet with our client. That's it. So if you know that they have nothing to lose and everything to gain, the worst they do is they waste a little time and gain a lot of knowledge. That's it. If you know that's the worst it could be, you have nowhere to go but up. So don't be afraid. Age. We all know what a really old person sounds like. If you hear that great, great, great grandmotherly voice, or someone who sounds like your great, great grandfather, who has one foot in the grave and farts dust, hang up on them. There's nothing good that's going to come out of it. I promise. Even if we were magically able to get the appointment, we're not going to send it to our client because there's laws against taking advantage of the elderly. There is absolutely no upside for them. They're not going to outlive the financial benefit of having solar. So if you know that ahead of time, stop wasting time with them. You hear a really, really old person, just hang up. No explanation necessary. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody not see the benefits of what I just mentioned? Anybody at all? Somebody talk to me.
No, none
Anybody in
from us. So far,
DMC?
so good.
Anybody in E-Info?
We're good, David. Everything's clear. We got your point.
Mona, anybody on your team?
Well, it's all clear, David.
So if it's all clear, why are we still doing the stupid things that we're doing?
Well,
I'm not.
my agents, if you have any question, you can please ask David right now. My agents, if you have any question, please, I'm repeating, you can ask David right now, and make sure that there would be no single mistakes from now onwards. Please, if you have any question, ask David right now.
Mike, are you here?
Yes.
Mike, you Mona and I had two very detailed conversations about you.
Okay.
I love your voice, man. I love how you handle yourself. I think you're going to be a superstar.
Thank you.
But you got to get on the reservation, man. You got to follow my direction.
I agree with that. I was just under the impression, because I've been doing campaigns with Richard for a while, and a lot of them were over the phone. So, when I was talking to that guy and he said, call me back, I figured, okay, I'll have somebody call you tomorrow. I thought that was I didn't know that somebody's going there personally, but I've done mostly, when somebody goes in person, and I know all the requirements for what needs to be done. So I will follow it from now on. You got it.
Because I listened to your recordings, and half of me wants to smile and grin because of how you handle yourself and how you sound. But the other half of me wants to pull my hair out because you're not following the script.
All right.
And if you just follow the script, I promise you, you're going to do very, very well.
All right.
All right. Again, if you guys can't be successful on the opening side, there's absolutely no way you're going to be successful on the closing side. Why do I say that? Well, the closing script is actually 1/3 of the closing script. The openers have the same exact opening script that you guys do. So whether you realize it or not, you're actually learning to be closers from day one. So if I go back to Mike and you're wasting time with, hi, how are you? You're blowing your chance to take advantage of those 4 seconds for them to take advantage of, right?
Yeah, I got, I got into that, using that because some other places required it. So
no, I trust me. I do things completely different than most people. All right.
And it takes me a little while to get it so that it's natural. You know what I mean? And
no,
absolutely. The last calls that I made, I haven't used "How are you" as much.
Yep.
And I'm going to completely eradicate it, I promise.
I'm here to tell you it's the hardest part about my job is to get you guys to forget everything you've learned in the past.
Right.
Starting with your upbringing. Because we were all raised to be nice. We were all raised to be polite. And the nice and polite thing to do when you start a conversation is, hi, how are you? That works in the real world. It does not work in telemarketing sales. It works in telemarketing customer service, but that's not what we're doing.
Right.
Right?
Most people recognize as soon as I say, hi, my name is Michael Sevick calling with Sunlight Solar, that I'm a salesman. So if I add how you doing, they're like, this guy don't give a shit how I'm doing. What?
Yeah, you don't care about you don't care how they're doing. They don't care about how you're doing. So why say it?
I know, exactly. I agree.
All right. The other point I wanted to make with you specifically, because I noticed it, is do not use your first and last name. Just use your
Yeah.
first name.
Okay.
It's not necessary, number one. Number two, it just wastes too much time.
Yeah.
And if you guys are using, please come up with a pseudonym, another name that is easy to pronounce and doesn't take a lot of time. Because we don't want them focusing on your name. Hi, my name is Julieta. What? What'd you say your name was? We don't want that. Just say Julie, or Lisa, or Debbie, or Mike, Dave, Scott, whatever. I don't care what name you use. This is all pretend. You're never going to see these people in your life. You're never going to talk to them ever, ever, ever again. So why should they have to fixate on your name? Right? Doesn't matter what
Yeah.
your name is. All right. So some of you have seen this in the training, some of you have not. I'm going to spend time and go over it with you again. Believe it or not, there is a science behind telemarketing sales, and specifically for solar. It's simply a numbers game. More calls you make, more people you speak with, the more people, the more pitches, more applications, the more money you guys make. It's no more complicated than that. It's pretty simple understanding, right?
Yeah, we used to call that cherry picking.
Yeah, right. So what to expect? Well, each agent, you're going to make 500 to 800 calls, and you should be submitting either 4 transfers a day or 4 sales a day if you're a closer. It's really what it comes down to. 1 out of every 125 calls or so. 125 to 200 calls in a day. Right?
Yep.
So let's say you made 500 calls. You know, 99% of them are going to be no good. Because let's face it, everybody hates telemarketers. I do, you do, and so do the people that we're calling. Some of you heard me use this analogy before. Mike, what's your favorite sport, Mike?
I'm not really into sports, but fishing.
Bad example.
I know. I like football, soccer.
All right. Let's say Sunday afternoon, you're watching football, the phone rings, right?
Yeah.
Now you're mildly annoyed because someone's interrupting you watching your football game, right?
Yeah.
You answer the phone, and then you find out it's a telemarketer. Now, instead of annoyed, now you're pissed off, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thought that's going through your head, Mike?
Tell him to go F himself and hang up.
What can I say to get them off the phone as fast as possible, right?
Yeah.
All right. So there's 2 types of people. There's those that are semi-honest, and they're going to tell you they're not interested, or they're just going to hang up on you. Right, Mike?
Yeah. That's what I usually do. I just hang the phone up.
Right. Because you don't want to deal with the bullshit, right?
No, I mean, sometimes I'll mess with them if I got free time just to see how good of a salesman they really are.
Now, do you think these customers are the people that we're calling are any different?
No,
The only
You
person
you don't
that's
think
on
that they're
first-
going to mess with you? It's like a sport, right?
yeah.
Then you have the people that are not so honest, that are not so upfront. And they're going to say whatever comes in their mind first to get you off the phone, whether it's intelligent or whether it's stupid. They're going to come up with something to say to either get you off the phone or to buy time so they can think of something more intelligent to say to get you off the phone. Let me give you an example of something that they may say to buy time. Where are you calling from? It's irrelevant. They don't care where you're calling from. But they're asking the question because they're buying time to think of something else more intelligent to say to get you off the phone. How did you get my number? Again, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Something to say to buy time to think of something more intelligent to say. In your case, Mike, going back to that recording. You know, I'm really busy. Can you call me back? That's basically what happened, right, Mike?
Yeah.
After he said, no, I wasn't interested in the first place, right?
Yeah. You didn't say it
And
wasn't
you didn't
really-
take no for an answer, which is good. You tried to hang in there. But then he came up with, you know what, I'm really busy, call me back. Right?
Right.
Now let's think about this rationally. If he was so busy, why did he take your call to begin with?
Right.
He only became busy when he found out you were a telemarketer, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Now, is that the same thing as being a polite no, not interested? Hoping that you're never going to call back again?
I don't recall that he exactly said I'm not interested. I think
Go
he
back
said
and listen
something
to the
like
recording again.
"Talk."
That was the first thing out of his mouth. But again,
Okay.
the point I'm making is he couldn't bring himself to just hang up on you
So I hung on, yeah.
because he's not that kind of person. So he hung in there and he came up with a few excuses. Because he's not able to be upfront and honest. He's not a straight shooter. Now, the
Yeah,
reality is the script is only 16 sentences long. It should be completed within 60 to 90 seconds. Now, they answered your call, meaning they weren't as busy as they want to let on. They only become busy when they find out you're a telemarketer. Which means the object of going through the script is not to finish the script. The object is to capture their attention 15 seconds at a time. Your first 15 seconds is geared to buying the second 15 seconds. The second 15 seconds is geared to buy the third 15 seconds, capturing their attention 15 seconds at a time. If you do it enough and you stack them up, you will get through the pitch and get what it is you want, which is a sale. The difference between customer service and sales is that with customer service, you care. First of all, you're polite and nice. Secondly, you care about what the customer wants, thinks, feels, and cares about. And if you got 2 out of the 4 right, you were successful. With sales, none of that matters. Either you got the sale and you were successful, or you didn't get the sale and you failed. It is binary. There are only 2 choices. There's no middle ground, and there is no partial pregnancy. Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. There is no maybe pregnant. There is no half pregnant. You either did it or you didn't do it. So you're buying 15 seconds at a time for their attention, keeping them engaged. So if you start out with, hi, how are you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You just blew it. There's nowhere to go but down. They're going to hang up on you, or they're going to make a game out of it and have fun at your expense, as Mike pointed out earlier. You have to explain who we are, what we're doing, why we're calling, and giving them a reason to answer our questions. We're looking for interest and cooperation to see if they pre-qualify. We do not want to waste time with people that we can't help. If we can't help them, hang up on them. Don't give them an explanation. If they answer our questions, they're at least showing mild interest and cooperation. If they don't meet all the pre-qualifications, we can't help them. No point in continuing, no matter how interested they are. Again, we're dividing the call into 15-second increments. Going from the first 15 seconds to buy the next 15 seconds, to buy the third 15 seconds. We're keeping them engaged. And hopefully you start stacking them up, and then you find yourself at the end. Again, you have 15 seconds to capture their attention span. Their attention span's only 15 seconds. So you have 15 seconds to capture and keep their attention until you say the next thing that keeps their attention. The goal is not to sell solar. The goal is to complete the script and set the appointment. To do that, you need to have a hard copy of the script in your hand. You cannot be successful reading it from a computer screen. I promise you. Because if you do, you're not going to remain in control of the conversation, because invariably someone is going to interrupt you with a question, comment, or a concern. You need to answer their question, assuming they pre-qualify. Answer their comment or concern if they pre-qualify. And then go immediately back to where you left off in the script. If you're reading it from a computer screen, you're going to lose your place. So one of two things is going to happen. If you lose your place, the customer is going to hear awkward silence on their end of the phone until you find your place. Or they're going to hear you subconsciously go, hang on a second, let me find it, until you find your place. If you have the script in your hand, you're following it with your fingertips, you know exactly where you left off, and without missing a beat, you can address their question, comment, or concern and go right back to where you left off in the script. You cannot do it from a computer screen. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns?
I wanted to say one thing on the I've done what you're saying. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You know, I think that a lot of times when there's a little bit of a lag, they pick up the phone and they say hello a couple of times, and then I'm saying hello. You know,
just
and then
assume what they're assume that they could hear you. Because
well,
honestly,
I okay, I can do that, and I'll try to do that.
yeah,
It's
again,
just that where I was tripping is they have said hello, hello, hello a couple of times, and then boom, the call gets to me, and I'm saying hello, and now they go quiet, and that's why I was like, "Hey, can you
no,
hear me?"
I get that, and that's a handicap, right? And
Yeah.
again, it goes back to being in our upbringing, it's being polite and nice and doing what we would do in normal everyday life.
Certainly. Yeah.
But if you think about it, what is it that you're saying the first sentence of the script? And it's not important, right? But
Yeah.
if you go back to the first sentence of the script, it's asking you to speed through it. Hi, my name is David. I'm calling from Sunlight Solar. Say that as fast as you possibly can, because by law, we have to say it, but we don't want our customers to fixate on it because it's irrelevant what your name is and really what marketing company name is, what the marketing company's name is, right?
Yeah.
And if they ask you after the first sentence, hey, what'd you say? Just keep it moving. Well, the reason why I'm calling is because blah, 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 blah. Right? Is every call is recorded. And as long as you're sticking to the script and saying it, whether they hear it or not, is irrelevant. As long as it's on the recording that you said it, that's the only thing that matters. Does that make sense to you, Mike?
I understand. Yeah.
Just keep it moving. Don't fixate on the stupid stuff. Now, we talked about callbacks here a second ago. And we talked about how in most cases, that's just a polite way of them saying they're not interested.
My wife was really good in that, and she never did callbacks. She used to get so mad at me when she hears me, you know, like, "Oh, okay, I'll call you back at 5." She was like, "Don't."
Well, there's a reason for that, right? Again,
Yeah, she
going back to the sales telemarketer, there are only two choices. Either you got what you want, which is the sale, or you didn't get what you wanted, which is failure. If you got what you wanted, you would have transferred the call or made the sale yourself as a closing agent. pushing the ball down the road, down the line, is not getting you what you want. And the reason why you're accepting the fact that you're going to call them back is, again, what we talked about in the training. In every conversation, someone is selling something to somebody. Doesn't matter whether it's a product, a service, an idea, your point of view, it doesn't matter. You're out with your friends, sitting at a sports bar. You start talking about football. Well, my team's better than your team. Here's why. Oh, yeah? Well, my team's better than your team, and here's why. Well, who's going to win that argument? One guy's selling his point of view, the other guy's selling his point of view. My girlfriend and I sat to have dinner. Well, she wants seafood. I want steak. She's going to tell me why she wants seafood. I'm then going to counter it with why I want steak. Who's going to win that argument? Customer says, I want you to call me back. Me, I say bullshit on that. I need to take advantage of this opportunity right now, otherwise I lose. If I settle for the callback, he won that. He sold me. If I don't buy into it and I somehow say something interesting enough to keep him on the line and get the call transferred or made the sale, then I won the argument. I sold him. I didn't let him sell me. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, to me it does.
So your wife is right. Callbacks are bullshit. That's a cop out.
Yeah.
Now, another reason
I
why we
mean,
don't
you
do
know.
callbacks is at some point you're going to have a capitulation point, meaning you're going to find yourself where it's unmanageable. Let's say, Mike, your first day, you had 4 callbacks. So on day 2, you dial those 4 callbacks, but then you find yourself that you have 4 more additional callbacks for the next day. So you weren't able to get those people from the first day. So now on day 3, you have 8 callbacks to make. But you know what? You couldn't get a hold of them. So then you picked up 4 more callbacks that you found yourself agreeing to. So now on day 5, you have 12 callbacks to make. At what point does it become unmanageable?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. The only mixed feelings I have about that is, you know, people that work in the offices and the background noise. I try to pay attention to that.
Now,
If they
there are
sound,
legitimate reasons for a callback. But
I
as
man, when I
opening
was doing
agents,
satellite installations, one time I'm on the roof hanging onto the chimney trying to jack in the leg for the satellite dish, and I get a call and it's a telemarketer. I'm like, dude, I'm on the roof, man. You know,
no, like I said, there are legitimate reasons, right?
yeah.
Some. But when some of you are agreeing to these callbacks and you're buying into what the customer is selling, many times you haven't pre-qualified them. You don't know whether or not they're a homeowner. You don't know whether or not they live in a single family residence or they live in a townhouse, condo, mobile home, manufactured home, lean-to hut, cave, doesn't matter. Or you don't know if they have a high enough electric bill, but yet you're agreeing to a callback, but you don't know why you're calling them back. You don't know whether or not this person qualifies or not, but you're agreeing to the callback because you want to please the customer. The customer sold you on Just leaving it out there like that. Right?
Yeah.
For opening agents, there is no reason for a callback. Absolutely none. In most cases, they're just asking for a callback because they don't have anything more intelligent to say to get you off the phone. It's a polite way of saying they're not interested and hoping that you don't call back. And in most cases, when they ask you to call them back, they're never going to answer the call ever again. They go into witness protection. They hide out. You're laughing, Mike, but you know it's true, right?
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because I'm from Chicago originally.
Nice. So when I said hiding out witness protection, that meant something to you.
Well, yeah, because I also lived in Arizona and there was a lot of
Most people don't understand it, but that's all right.
yeah, I know.
Inside joke, something to do with Chicago and the mob and criminals and hiding out witness protection, but that's all right. All right. So does anybody have any questions about anything I just said? This all makes sense to everybody? Do I get a collective yes, no, maybe so?
Yes,
Don't
David.
everybody speak at once, right?
Yeah. All I hear is crickets. Anybody?
Thanks, David.
All right. So as soon as this recording is done uploading, I'm going to go ahead and send it to you. I'm also going to send you this PowerPoint so you guys have it. Again, what I want you guys to focus on is using this because I know the script looks overwhelming. So one of the reasons we did this was so you can learn it in bite-sized pieces. All right. So again, learn this paragraph, learn that paragraph, the next paragraph, and so forth. Learn how to pronounce your words correctly. Learn 5 new words every day and perfect them. All right. With that said, thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to reach out to me privately, please do. I'll be available. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.